Okay, we're in the middle of our review, and just to refresh your memories, the Tomer Devorah goes through the spheros and how they actually have different focus points, if you will, in the Gufa Adam. And we spent a long time speaking about the Metzach and the Tefillin and the Metzach of the Kohen Gadol, and what that is, that whole emotional part of a person, and how that comes before the seichel, how a person has to condition themselves to be on an automatic level of sitkis. We're here on Baz Naim. If you have the sheet, it's in Baz Naim. Remember, the Tomer Devorah went down from the forehead to the Aznaim. So what's the avoda of Aznaim? It's fairly simple and yet not so simple. The avoda of Aznaim, you have ears, okay. So we have ears. So it's quoting the Tomer Devorah, Sh'lo yichnesu ba'aznav lo divrei lashon hara v'kintor u'rechilus. That a person, but this is already a chiddush, that a person sh'lo yichnesu la'aznav lo divrei lashon hara v'kintor u'rechilus. That one should not allow to come into their ears. Remember, the Gemara says that if you start hearing lashon hara, you should put your finger in your ears. It should be more of a cognitive thing. I'm makabel, I'm not makabel. I believe you, I don't believe you. I have a good comeback. It should be something more mamashi. But here he's saying that it shouldn't even go into your ears. You shouldn't even. You don't want to hear this stuff. You don't even hear it. And so the Gemara says, the Gemara is a kasha, so how do you not hear it? The Gemara says, okay, so we have a date, so your ears you can close. It's hard to close. It's easier to close your ears than to close your mouth. I noticed. Ears you can. And what are we closing our ears from? So what you have here is that the whole idea of being B'Tselem Elikim. So you want to make sure that the input places are very, very filtered, so you don't even hear something which disturbs the kedusha and the tara of what's going on within you, inside your neshama, inside your mind, and inside your heart. Again, it's not a question of it's an usher to hear lashon hara. It is usher to hear lashon hara. It is usher to speak lashon hara. But here we're talking about just it's contaminating. It's pollution that's going into our system. And makes it very, very, once a person has that pollution, it's like everybody understands they shouldn't breathe toxic air, or they shouldn't eat, toxic foods. Everybody understands that, but you don't drink water, which is toxic. But that's only one area of input. There's another area of input, which is your ears, and the ears can be makabel, something which has a tumah to it, and that tumah goes in. So the avodah of, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu is pure, we're supposed to be like Hashem. So there's a purity of thought which is not interrupted by the Knisas HaZnayim. Very important. Kintor. What's kintor? What's the word? Kategor. What's kintor? Yeah. What's the word? Kintor, lakanter. You're familiar with, right?
To abuse? To abuse?
To abuse, lakanter. Like you're allowed to listen to a Talmud ask a question unless it's lakanter. So lakanter is usher. So what does it mean to chide? In other words, asking for the sake of causing pain. That's lakintor. It's a criticism, but not a criticism which is a toel, it's a criticism which is shtach, yeah. Literally a shtach. A shtach means that you're actually needling somebody. It's, in Arabic, by the way, the word a kintor, not the noun, a kintor refers to an an awl. You have a long nail. Long nail. And you bang a hole into something. That's called a kintor. So, it's like a drill bit. just going a big long drill bit at all. So that's a kintar. So there's normally we talk about lashon hara and rechilas, not going into our ears, which is a chizuk, but also a kintar. Kintar is like a negativity, a negative criticism, just a shtech, as you say, which is going in. So that's also kimisha mevi lacha ezer rechilos ploine asa lacha. If somebody brings to you, presents to you a rechilos, do you know what he did to you? You know what he said about you when you weren't listening. That's a rechilos. Ezer asa lacha ploine dibar alacha. So and so said this about you. Al yaseh b'cha shum roishem. It shouldn't make any impression at all. Meaning it makes an impression once it's in your ears, but if you don't let your ears hear it, it's a big avodah, no? Like easy words, we know this stuff, but it's a big avodah. Al yaseh b'cha shum roishem. V'tiyas soynei u'marchik l'meishem mevi l'cha dvarim. On the contrary, you should be upset with the person who's even telling you this stuff. Not thank you for telling me, now I know who my friends are. These things contaminate the neshama. Rechilos contaminates the neshama. You understand the chiddush here? Actually, even though it's good to know, right? If somebody's against you, okay, maybe it's good to know, but maybe it's not. Like maybe it's just different negativity, agitation that the guy's right, or he's just just get rid of negative people from around you. Don't listen to them. Don't hear them.
But it didn't work out that well for Gedalia Ben Akim. They tried to warn him, and he didn't accept the.
So he talks about, not him, but he talks about this idea. I remember one of the things that made such a big rosh about me in my life was that I had I don't say anything bad, I don't go against what we're learning over here, but just a little bit. I used to accompany Rav Scheinberg on different things, just as a Shabbos. So there was once a meeting of Rosh Yeshivas and Machers, in the basement of Binyaneyu about 35, 40 years ago. And there was a whole room full of these Chashva people, and I came with Rav Scheinberg, and he's sitting there with everybody else, and he's sitting with the Gemara, and it wasn't much of a conversation. It's like it was not an opportunity to schmooze. There was no opportunity to schmooze. That was the. He was sitting Shiva once. He was schmoozing. That's the only time I remember. But it wasn't. But I'm sitting there, and the meeting did start. It was 10 minutes till the meeting started. All the people around the table, had what to talk about. Talk about this. Talk about that. Politics. Kinds of. So all kinds of things. So he says to me, "Let's go." So as the meeting didn't start yet, he says, "Moshe Leitzer, I'll take you." He doesn't want to sit there. He doesn't listen to any of this. It was interesting because I have to admit that at the time I was a little bit, before he said that, I was a little bit like, all these people, like they're so normal and they're talking about all these things. Like how come my Rebbe's not participating in the conversation? So the answer is because he didn't want to. And not only did he want to, but he wouldn't even let himself sit there. So years later, I reminded him, which he didn't remember altogether, but I read his story. So he told me, he says that it's not that they were doing something wrong; it's just a different style that he doesn't. So he told me a story that when he was in Mir Yeshiva in Europe, so Rabbi Yerucham was the mashgiach, the famous mashgiach, and they considered him like the Miras considered him like the ultimate in Das Torah. Rabbi Yerucham, more than the Rosh Yeshivas, more than the Chafetz Chaim. Rabbi Yerucham was the man, and Rabbi Yerucham said to him, like he came for a year. He was going for like Shana Bet, Mir Yeshiva in Poland. So Rabbi Yerucham told him that, look, I see that you're a serious Talmud Chacham, and he thinks that it would be good if he would leave Mir while I was in Europe for another year and go to Brisk. So go to Brisk. Brisk was more like more than Mir. It was like a finishing school, of learning. Brisk was, the Brisker Rov was there. Wasn't the Brisker Rov was where she was big. Some of the most chashuv people always went to Brisk at the end. That's where they went. And then after that, a lot of times went to Slobodka or Navarnik. That was to finish the. That's how the Gedolim were made. So he told me to go to Brisk. So he didn't want to. He says, I'm learning good here. I'm chavrusas, this and that. I don't know if I want to go to Brisk. This will go to Brisk. Anyways, he said he'll go. He'll try. So he left his wife and his kid, and he went to Brisk for a couple of weeks to try out in Brisk, and with a letter from Rabbi Berel, that they should take him in and they should be makabel him. And he went to Brisk, and he said that he came back and he said, I'm not going to Brisk. I'm not saying anything negative about Brisk, I'm just saying his style. That's all. I'm not going to Brisk. So they said, Rabbi Yaacov was what was wrong with Brisk? He didn't like the shir. He says the shir was fantastic. He said he never heard a shir like that, the Brisk Rav. He said they don't have chashuva people. He says the best in Europe went to Brisk. He says the food's not good. Like, what was the problem with Brisk? What's the problem with Brisk? He says it's not for me. He says because after the shir, he noticed that there was like a gathering after the shir of all the bachrim, and they were all like discussing. So he assumed that they were discussing the shir. And then, so he went to try to get into the discussion, and he walked in. He said, "They're talking politics." So he says, "Love is really like, I mean, there was so much going on in the world at that time, to have the Brisker analysis of it. And now, the truth of the matter is, it's a shita of Brisk to analyze the politics. It's not for him. Well, Yishmael also, he didn't want it to go. It was a sort of a tara. They just didn't want it to go into his head. They wanted to go into his ears. So it was like
Why is he defining it by the negative here? It's what you don't do with your ears as opposed to what you do with your ears.
So he's good. Let's learn a little further. But the negative, we're assuming that the positive is there, meaning the positive is the neshama, and the neshama is good automatically. So now the question is, how are you careful not to pollute the neshama? Like onto itself, like babies, they're holy and they're truthful. Until we teach them how to lie, they don't lie, right?
Tohorah.
You need they need a chinuch in lying, negativity and lashon hara. That's a learned thing. So you should push them away. But Tomer sheker atodover. You should tell the person, this is just sheker. You're just talking sheker. Ki al haroiv hu sheker. Because most probably it is sheker. Because of afilu emes, and even if it's true, tisbal ushtoik. This is an unbelievable sentence here. In other words, you're hearing something bad about you. So what does he say? Let's not lose our place. A person is coming to you and he's saying rechilas. What does it mean he's saying rechilas? He's saying that Shmerel said the most horrible things about you. He said that you're not honest. He said that you're... So I'm hearing rechilas. So it's not just like I'm being metaba by my mind. I'm hearing terrible things about myself. So I don't want to hear negative things, not about me, not about anybody else. So I push them away, and I say I don't want to hear them. But that's good. But I'm also now in a bit of denial over what I may be doing wrong. So he says, afilu hu emes, even if it's true what they're saying, if it strikes a chord, touches a nerve as emes, tisbal. So you should be sovel, ushtok, and you should be quiet. Don't be defensive. Listen to the sentence. From this you'll have an unbelievable tova. V'simcha, v'tasig hasaga, you'll be able to grasp in Torah and in Ruchnius, mashaloi hisig Rabbi Kiva v'chaverov. V'yoser tasig mimarin ha'arizal. The skula of hearing something negative about yourself and not reacting, but being makabel. So I'm hearing it. I'm not makabel this person who's negative. This is such a dance. I'm not makabel the person who's you're negative. Go ahead. But I'm hearing what he says. He's saying I'm dishonest. Let's say. So if he's saying I'm dishonest, by everybody, if we're human, well, I'm dishonest. Yeah. I'm dishonest. Me, how honest I am, right? But there's another thing you can do and be sovel. Sovel is like a sabal, like a moving guy. He's carrying a piano on his back. So it's kaved mode, this piano. But I'm sovel. So being sovel is I'm willing to hear it, as heavy as it is, I'm hearing it, and if I could hear it, if I could be makabel, sort of hear it regarding myself, yelecha tova gedola v'simcha. Ultimately, it'll bring a simcha into your life. Not only a simcha, but a hasaga. You'll be able to understand and have insight into things. Mashallah hisig Rabbi Kiva v'chaver v'yoyser tasig mibar hari. You'll understand more than the Ari. Maybe nobody ever came to the Ari and said bad things. You know what Reb Chaim Vital said about you? It's not likely that we can hear the Ari. But with us, it's possible to hear negative things. So so here's our chance to get a higher madrega in hasaga for that moment than the Ari.
Isn't it also a shkacha pratis that you're hearing these things?
Of course,
to begin with? Yeah.
of course. So the Gross says in the back of the Siddur, I quoted often, the Goin says that if a person hears an insult about them, somebody insults them. This happens to all of us, right? Somebody says something which is offensive to us, and you really want to respond and react. And if you don't, says the Goin in the back of the Siddur, he brings from the Zohar. So Zocha, by not responding, by just holding your tongue at that moment, Zocha la'or hagonus. You're Zocha to the or hagonus she'ein kol bria v'malach zoichen liroy soisa. You at this point become the highest level of malach, the highest level of any kind of a human being. There's no bria, there's no malach which can be masig, which you can be masig of. The or hagonus at this point. The or hagonus is, I don't know what the Aragonus is, but the Aragonus is this being able to have the insight to see something deeper than everybody else can see. That's the Aragonus. The Aragonus is that which a person can see. Misoif oilum ve'ad soif oilum, the Gemara says in Nita Daf Lamed. You can see everything. So you're zocha to an insight that nobody else can have.
That's why you have to listen to your wife. I mean, you're
Not only that, that's what she's for.
Right.
Be'eshetikabel chirufim v'gidufim. It's a tremendous opportunity. Like next time somebody offends you, tremendous opportunity to be zoicha to the or agonus. Chirufim v'gidufim ba'ava ve'eva v'chiba, probably v'chalishus das. That ava, that chiba, that chalishus hadas, or that eva, I'm not sure what he means here. V'yeh libcha molei or, v'chedva, v'avas Yisrael, v'dvekas Hashem Yisbarach, v'torah u'tfilah. V'liyitin hazana l'dvarim toivim. V'layase b'char shum roishim shum dibur rak yakol hevel. V'akol mushkach. It's all hashkacha practice, meis Hashem Yisbarach. Now, again, there's almost like a contradiction here. On the one hand, I don't want to hear you, you're negative. So that's certainly easy to understand when we're talking about somebody else. When we're talking about me, so I have two things that I could do at one time. And as Jews, we're capable of multitasking this way. The one thing we can do is say, and we do have to do both. One thing we say is, go away from me, this is negativity. Like, I don't have to hear this. The other thing that does, with the fact is we did hear it. The other thing we can do is, how do we react? And the answer is we don't react. By not reacting, so then we can be zocha to the or hagonus. So I was thinking that the Rambam says, I'll show you the Rambam very quickly.
Rabbi?
Yeah.
About a half hour ago, I learned in Gemara, says we learned in Kedushin, Lamed Aleph, I think, that you learned from Chana that you should give techacha. If someone gives you techacha,
Learned from
Chana. Someone gives you techacha, you're supposed to respond to clear your name. So it sounds like we are supposed to respond when you hear something negative.
So the answer is that's responding after you don't respond. Meaning the first thing I have to do is I have to be makabel, I have to work with it. Otherwise, it's just kas. If it's just an emotional response,
Yeah.
immediately. So yes, 100% a person. In fact, let's just do one more line. He says here, Afal Pikain, with all this, it's important to remember that Lamecha Shmiyu Bai, that you have to always have an ear open to be choshesh This is pretty difficult, sophisticated stuff. To be choshish what the person's saying might be true. So somebody's trying to kill you. I'm not makabel. I mean, like you say, gedalia. And also, you can't humble yourself in front of somebody who hates you. Meaning, like, you don't have to be an idiot either. You don't have to be a sitting duck. Right. For somebody's target practice. So if somebody's your sonne, they're your sonne. So the thing is that there's like so many things going on over here that it's hard to do them all at one time. It's like a real exercise, If we get like a real, not that I'm any kind of expert in this, but like if you go to a real exercise trainer, so he says, okay, like, you ever like do yoga or something? Okay, stand like this, hard enough. Okay, now while you're doing that, do this with your hands. 1 second, I can't do 2 things at once. And now when you're doing that, so put your ankles like that. Like, just how many things can you do at one time? Like, it's too much to do. But the answer is that this is what we're capable of doing. We're capable of creating a situation where we can do 2, 3, 10 things all at one time. And even if they're opposites. So, you could have simcha and you could have tsar at the same time. The Shulchan Aruch says that you're not allowed to make a bracha with the shame of dying emes unless you're crying with tears. You can say Baruch Dayan Emes, but you can't say Baruch Atah Hashem Keinu Melech Olam Dayan unless you're crying. And you can't make a Shechayanu unless you have genuine simcha, even if it's a new strawberry. You have to have simcha from it. And if a person, Shulchan Aruch says, if a person hears about a death of a loved one, so much that it makes you cry and that you heard that you got a big Yerusha just now at the same thing, so all of a sudden you became wealthy, so you make a Dayan Emes and a Shechayanu, both one after the other. You know what I'm saying? And so I've now become schizophrenic. But this is a capacity, this is a human capacity to be able to have two opposite feelings at the same time. So here's like, I'm makabel and I'm not makabel, or like the Gemara says, mekarven b'yamin v'docha b'smol. Like there's a lot of this action that can happen that I don't want to hear this because it's negative, and I'm not going to react to it. And at the same time, I'm going to take it very seriously and understand what I have to do about this. Because even if somebody's choshed me at something, I must have done something wrong to create that chash, maybe, right? Although, Tzaddik says that people will accuse you, dafka, of the things that you excel in. But okay, that's your avoda. And then the third thing is, be careful. Don't be machnia yourself in front of a sonai. It doesn't mean you have to become a wimp. Like that's not what it means. So it's it's like being in Sahal. On the one hand, I love you. On the other hand, I hate you. On the other hand, I'm going to shoot you because I'm not going to let you shoot me. So many different things that go through a person. A good person's, which they are, a good person's mind, all at the same thing. Like how do you even deal with such a am I a killer or am I getting killed? Like how do you deal with this? So I just want to point out that the Rambam in Hilchos Tshuva, the Rambam says in Hilchos Tshuva in Parak Zayin, Rambam says Bali Tshuva. See, first he talks about how to do tshuva, so we know how to do tshuva. But then he talks about like a Baal Tshuva. What is a Baal Tshuva? What is the conduct of a Baal Tshuva? Remember, we're talking about not a person who made a lifestyle change or a cultural change. We're talking about a person who did something wrong and does tshuva. He did something wrong. He did an avera. That's what a Baal Tshuva is. I actually did an avera. I feel bad that I did an avera. We all do averas. Feel bad that you do an avera. Now you go through the tshuva process and you become, if you've done it, you become a Baal Tshuva. So now there's the darkei hatshuva. There's something that a Baal Tshuva, there's a behavior sort of that's typical to a Baal Tshuva, good behavior. And he says, Baal Tshuva, darken liya shvelim v'anavim b'yoser, tend to be humble. Meaning they were humbled by the experience of having fallen. You think you're strong and you think I'm not going to do that, but when tempted, you do it. So it's a humbling experience, yeah?
It's always easier to do it in retrospect, though. At the moment, it's very hard to do. Afterwards, after it happens, and you look back on what you did, how you reacted, then
it's humbling.
Yeah.
Now, Im charfu oisay, this is the part that I want. Im charfu oisan haksilim b'maseim harishonim. Let's say you have a ksil. A ksil is a fool, a rasha really, who comes and tells you, Gross Tzaddik you are. I remember when you used to do this, I remember when you used to do that, now you feel like you're a Baal Tshuva, right? So there's an Isser, Daraisa, of Lesainu that you're not allowed to remind a person of their previous Averos. It's Asr. Let a person change, allow a person to come into a new place, to grow. But you're not allowed to tell a person, anybody, even your wife, you're not allowed to tell somebody what they used to do. I remember you when you used to, and people do that for some reason. There's something like evil in us that does that because we're very busy like making sure people don't become Bali Gaiva. Like that's like a big avoda. That's not we want it to go to your head. There's like a big avoda of people making it mashkiach. So that person who reminds a person of something they did wrong is over loisainu. But okay, I'm the Baal Tshuva, let's say, and I'm hearing this that I used to do wrong. Also, by the way, also a ger. You're not allowed to tell a ger, like used to be a guy, It's it's also like just while I'm here, somebody called me a few days ago. It's interesting. Tell me if you think I'm right. Somebody called a woman I don't know. Called me a few days ago about chesed. And she said that she wants to take upon herself a certain chesed. She's thinking what to do, and she met. There's a Gioris that just had a tragic death. She got hit by a car in Ramat Bet Shemesh. So she was there, and she saw that like here's a Gioris and doesn't have a mother there or a father there, doesn't have the family support, the children. There's this kilo. She died, but the husband was sitting shiva and didn't feel it had the same. So she said that Garen made a special amount of support, and she took upon herself to make meals dafka for Gerim, or even if they're not didn't go through such a tragedy, just to help them to make meals, to make a shtickle chesed. And she talked to a bunch of women about joining, and everybody wanted to join, and there's this whole, they identified 8 or 10 gerim in the community, and they're going to create a chesed thing. So she said to me she was thinking she just wanted to get maybe a rabbi to endorse it. So I said to her, I think it's a horrible idea. I said, kol hakavod for the chesed, but it's just such a horrible idea. I think you're a ger, we're going to take care of you. It's right. It's like a person says what I read recently, I'll never be condescending. That means I'm never going to talk down to you. The avoda of v'ahavtam es hager is the avoda of not treating them like a ger.
Different.
That's the whole avoda here. So the minute that you, I think I'm right. I think it's a terrible idea. Okay, it's nice to get chicken soup, but on the other hand, to be singled out and nobody takes care of you when you're a ger. So this is mamash an isser of loisainu. So it's such an interesting example. She was makabel, by the way. I shouldn't think of it that way. It was makabel. Right? I said you do chesed for everybody who has tzara, and also gerim, that's the, let's say, or maybe if you're not in the mood to cook, but somebody says, look, it's a ger, v'ahavtam es hager, so they'll go the extra mile at Peseder, but to single out, ger was just it seemed to me to be, it's I once heard from another gadol. He said that he was walking and somebody stopped to give him a ride. So this Rav was walking and give him a ride. So he said, "No, I'm walking for health. I want to walk. That's what I'm walking. I'm exercising. I want to walk." He says, "Yeah, but you're depriving me of a mitzvah, of doing a chesed." So the Rav said, I'm not an esrog. I'm your, See, you see what happens? Like you could lose the whole, forest full of trees, So, like the chesed, let a person be, let a person live. So the Rambam, anyways, the Rambam says here. Here's a person who became about tshuva, and somebody's constantly reminding me of what I used to be. Come on, you used to do worse than me. And they say to them, I remember yesterday I used to do such and such. This is the way you used to talk. I remember your language. Like all of a sudden you're a Greis Tzaddik. Al yargishu lahem, says the Rambam. Al yargishu lahem, such an interesting lashon. Al titragesh. How do you give me a what does it mean?
Don't take it to heart.
Don't be emotional. Don't be emotional. Ella shoymin. You should listen to it. And here you have the contradiction. Ella shoymin usmeichin. You should be happy. V'yodin shezu schus lahem. This is not exactly what we're learning here. You'll know it's a schus for you. V'shekol zman shein boshim mimaseim she'avru v'nichlama mehem. Because the whole time, so a person has busha. On the one hand, you're embarrassing me, and they're happy that they're having busha, because by having busha, kol shehein boshin b'maisem she'avru v'nichlama mehem schusan meruba o malosan miskadela. So he doesn't say you're bigger than Rabbi Kiva v'chavero. He doesn't say you're bigger than the Arizal that the Ramak says. But what he does say is that you've reached a place of godless. So you can be happy. It's like I just lifted a 200-pound barbell. So on the one hand, it's painful. On the other hand, I'm besimcha, because now I just grew in ruchnius in a very, very clear way, because I heard it and I didn't react to it. So and it gives you simcha, and what he says here is that it gives you the or hagonus. Now I saw here. Would you want to say, Darren?
No, I mean, forget it.
So I saw here the Kesef Mishnah says that how does the Rambam know this? He blind shver. How does the Rambam know? What's his makar? Rambam doesn't say things without a makar. How does he know that you should, like, all of a sudden it's like a Musar Sefer, you should be sameach, and you can grow to places that you'll never grow. Like, how did he know? Because he was a doctor. How did he know this? So the truth is, if you go over to the Rambam, I was thinking about this morning, in Hilchos Tshuva, that's the Rambam is in Hilchos. I'm sorry, that's the Rambam in Hilchos Tshuva. If you go to the Rambam in Hilchos Yesodei Torah, you go back a bunch of pages. So here the Rambam says, in Hilchos, let's find it here. Two things. He says, talking about the halachas of Kiddush Hashem. But in Kiddush Hashem, he says, Im diktek hachacham al atzmai, v'hayu diburei benachas im habriyos. The chacham is careful with the way he talks. And he speaks benachas, speaks quietly with people, softly, doesn't scream. Not a screamer. V'daitoi mureves imahem. See, a lot of chachamim have like a yetzer hara to not mix. So daitoi mureves imahem. He's mixing. He's part of the crowd. He's having the regular conversation. Umakbilim b'sever panim yafos, and he's a kabbalah everybody b'sever panim yafos. V'ne'elav mehen ve'enon olvim. And let's say he gets insulted from them, but he doesn't insult back. He doesn't get into that game. Mechabed lahen afilu mekiim lo. He gives covet to people that are not giving covet to him. But noisei v'noisein b'emunah. And he does business with faith. He doesn't hang out with Amaratz and hang out. It's more of him abrius. It's just doesn't have to waste time. Doesn't have to sit in the bar. He's more of an abrius. The way his look is oisik b'Torah. You see him with a sefer, atuf b'tzitzis, muchter b'tefillin. See, I was impressed that somebody listened to me because there's these guys that, but like I have a kesher with movie stars for some reason, celebrities. I don't know. I have that kind of a thing bunch. So so somebody was somebody here that's on television. They have this Kochav Chadash, you know, Kochav Chadash. I mean, I don't know. I never saw it, but. It's what it is that you can all be candidates to go into Kochav Chadash, display your talent. They starts with like 600 people, and then they narrow down until they come up to Gadol Hador. So you know, with your singing or with your whatever you're doing, mostly music, right? So you can grow up higher. Are you in there? Get higher levels of and it's the stress. It's like really stressful because like. Okay, it calls about your auditioning, but the judges paskin, and you know, until you're like one of the finalists, one of the 5 finalists, and then the pressure is good. So as people were saying that you know you're a finalist, so you do your thing, and then let's say there's some you know woman who's singing like a whole preacher's thing. That's the other finalist, right? So you don't have to sit there and listen. So you go into the other room backstage. And you wait. But the problem is that, you know, the camera's on you. Like, how are you reacting to the other person who's doing possibly a better job than you or whatever? Now, here's this Haredi guy with this woman singing on stage. And, like, what's the correct reaction? Now, what's the correct reaction? Why not? No, don't do this whole thing. That might be. Might be. I'm not, you know, there's some kind of a Kiddush Hashem also. Oh, you could wear earplugs. So my answer was that you should bring a Gemara, and the entire time that you're not performing, you should be sitting and learning Gemara. And when the cameras go on you look like a Jew. This is what Jews do. Jews are sitting there being osed b'chachma. Okay, I'm not saying she wear towels and tefillin necessarily, but otuv b'tzitzis, muchter b'tefillin. This is the look, and this is the Kiddush Hashem. Like intelligent people and people b'madrega are not like wow, you know, like they're preoccupied with divrei chachma. So a person should always be preoccupied with divrei chachma, isn't it? You know, right, like write chidushei Torah. Intelligent people write. You know, don't check your email. Right, kind of like look in the Gemara, like write in the margins of the Gemara. Like, you know, that's so he says. Lo yisrachik harbe, v'lo yishtoimim. You're not allowed to move too far away from the crowds, but you're supposed to be something distinguished or something, some sort of a distinction or dignity. Ad sheyimsa kol makalsanoi v'oyevanoi misav l'masa. The result will be that everybody will want you, everybody will love you, everybody will praise you. Haray's a kiddush Hashem. So that's a kiddush Hashem. In other words, if you have an opportunity to stand in front of 100,000 people or 1,000,000 people and act like a Jew, Harayza Kiddush Hashem. So that's why I'm saying I'm not so sure it's the wrong thing to do. There's an opportunity here to make a Kiddush Hashem. If you're in the limelight, make a Kiddush Hashem. But all of Akasav Omer, but Yarmer li Avdiata Yisrael Asher B'cha Aspar. It's you who I am extremely proud of. Just one more Rambam, if I can find it, because I want to bring it all together. The Rambam says, in Hilchos Deis, that's in Yesodei HaTorah. We did Shuvah, Yesodei HaTorah. And here the Rambam says, just give me Let's find this lashon here.
Maybe this whole thing's predicated that the person feels busha.
Yeah.
They're reminded of their chait.
That what?
What happens-
You feel busha.
Yeah.
That's exactly the whole point. The point is that you're not supposed, that's exactly the whole point. On the one hand, like I can't let his negativity get me down. On the other hand, you should feel busha. Like that's the dark tshuva, is to always be misbiased with people. By the way, I find people, Bali tshuva, are a bit madrega this way. I mean, they're when it comes to them, that what they may have done in a previous, a man who came to me Erev Yom Kippur, he's been a tzaddik already for like 25 years. Everything, beautiful family. And he came and he's talking. It was a tough, sort of a tough guy, and he was telling me about a shir that he heard in Hilchos Tshuva, and all of a sudden, this like grown man, oversized guy, he started to cry. The shir was about like you can never, like what you did, right? Like what let's say you killed somebody, so the person's dead. Tshuva, like there's still Yeshadayin Baya. He started to cry. So I said, Beseder, like what? Like he says no. And before he was from, so he made a woman pregnant and he forced her to abort the baby. He says, so what's happening? What's going to happen in Shammai? So I comforted him. Not sure if I would, but the point is that like there's a busha that a person about tshuva, you're about tshuva forever. It's like an addict. You're always an addict, right? You can get out of it, but about tshuva is about tshuva forever. So, but on the other hand, like if you're makabel, that's exactly what I told him. My comfort was that if you're makabel that busha, the self busha, so being makabel and being sovel it and growing from it, you could be zoicha to the or haganus that even the Arizal couldn't have from the Fursh. So, so are you happy? Are you sad? The answer is Baruch Dayan HaShechyan. It's possible. The Rambam says at the end of Hilchos Deis Perek Hey, it's another Rambam, Klolei Shel Davar. He says the whole way a person should be, Klolei Shel Davar, Yamin Nirdafim V'lei Min HaRoidfim. A person should try to be from those that are pursued and not from the pursuers. Min Halovim, Hanelovim V'lei Min Halovim. You should rather be somebody who is abused rather than somebody who abuses. Again, with the proviso, with the caveat that you don't become an abused person. But if such a thing happens, by not reacting, says again the same lashon. So 3 times the Rambam says this lashon, and in the 4th place he says, which I'm looking for right now. He says that, and you can be at this point, it says right here someplace, Kitseis Hashemesh Bigvurase. The Gemara says, that's this lashon. The Gemara says, one second, bear with me for a minute. Brisa of Perek Sheni Diyuma. So the Gemara says as follows. The Gemara says, if a person should be min ha-nirdafim v'loy min ha-roitfim, min ha-nelovim v'loy min ha-olvim, and here the Gemara says in Chulan ba'oisekain, olav ha'kasav oimer, kitzeis hashemesh b'gvurasei. That's what the Gemara says. The Gemara in Shabbos Bechas. Kitzeis hashemesh b'gvurasei. If a person can hear an insult about yourself and not react, so the Gemara says on him there's a pasuk, Kitseis Hashemesh B'Gvurasei. You're like the sun that goes out in its gvura. So what does that mean? What does it feel like to be like the sun that goes out in its gvura? It means that it goes out, it means the sun, midday. Kitseis Hashem B'Gvurasei. So Pasuk Pshat is that you will begin to shine by being able to be makabel, by having the das, and by being able to have the maturity and the level to be able to hear something negative about yourself without immediately reacting, so nothing ever goes in. But I'm makabel it, and I'm actually b'simcha. I'm happy you told me, and now I can react to it. It's very hard, very difficult madrega. But by internalizing it, by playing it that way, and not being immediately defensive, although, as the Tomer Devorah says, I don't want to hear you, you're negative. So it's very, very complicated, but being able to accept that, you're Ketseis Hashemesh B'Gvurasai. So what's the, I just want to explain for a minute, and then what's the Madrega of Ketseis Hashemesh B'Gvurasai? So the Gemara says, just take a look if you don't mind 1 second. The Gemara says, and with this we will end. The Gemara says, Rav Shimon ben Pazi Rami. Rav Shimon ben Pazi asked the Kasha on the Psukim. Ksiv, so non Gemara. Vayasa Lakim Shnei Ama Oiros Hagadolim. Hashem made at the beginning of the creation the sun and the moon, the two luminaries. Uksiv, and then it says afterwards in the Torah, Hamara Hagadol ves Hamara Hakatan. So first it says Shnei Ama Oiros Hagadolim, and then it says the big luminary, the small luminary. So Chazal, here's what happened. Here's the story. Amra Yareyah Lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Here's two equal luminaries, sun and the moon. The moon comes and says to Hashem, Ribono shel olam, efshar l'shnei malachim sheishtamshu b'keser echad. It's either me or the sun. Like who's going to be the king? Who's going to be the? Okay, we'll have time to try to figure out like what was bothering the moon. But like, if I'm the one, I'm the luminary. I'm the luminary. You can't have two malachim, two kings, in one keser. The Lashon keser is so interesting here. Amrillah, so Hashem said, okay, you're right. L'chi u'mi'ati atzmech. So you make yourself small. You don't think two luminaries, so become less of a luminary. You solve the problem. Amr Lefanov, so the moon says, do I get punished for saying something good? I said a smart thing. That's the moon. Amr Allah, so said, okay, you're right, I shouldn't punish you. You're around during the day, you're around during the night. The sun is not around at night. The moon is around during the day. I'm really nice that I'm around during the day, but nobody can see me. The shroga b'tihara mayahane. What good is a candle in the middle of the day? So the fact is, like the sun is not there. The moon is there, but you can't see the moon because of the sun. So what good are my? So Hashem said, okay, I agree with that too. Give you a prestigious job, Rosh Chodesh, like moon. Amalei Yom Nami. Okay, it goes on and on. So he says, I'll do better. Cotton will be in Milo. We'll see in Amos it says Yaakov HaKatan, it says Shmuel HaKatan, it says David HaKatan. So it's okay to be a cotton. A cotton is also something. So here's the moon. Here's a competition. Sun of the moon. The moon complains about the competition. Hashem says, okay, moon, shrink. Why should I shrink? Okay, booby prize. They'll count by you. Now, and that's the way, and we name people after the moon. We're into the moon. It's interesting to hear this Gemara that there's not one word from the sun. Like the Gemara, Rashi, Tosfos, nobody asked the question, like, where was the sun in this whole thing? The sun said not a word. The answer is the sun was big. Ketseis Hashemesh B'Gvurasai is the pshat. That the Kolzman, the moon, was complaining. The sun didn't say a word. Hashem will take care of this. Hashem will have to do. So this is why the pasuk says, I think, this is the pshat, the Gemara Chulul is B'taretz, the Gemara Bava. Because the Gemara Bava says if you're Talmud Chacham and somebody insults you and you don't answer, you're Ketseis Hashemesh B'Gvurasai. So that how do we know that's Ketseis? Not just you'll shine like the sun, but you're just like the sun who didn't respond and didn't react to the Kippur of the moon, whose agenda was to bring down the sun. So Ketseis Hashemesh B'Gvurasai, so should be the Talmud Chacham. I'm not reacting, and you're the bigger one, and then therefore you're B'Simcha, you could shine more than everybody else. But with the caveat, he says that you can't let anybody mess with you either. So here's like a number of pieces to juggle. It's good homework to do. So I'll tell you my schedule here. I'm going to do Mir Hashem Thursday. I want to do whatever more Chazara we can do on Tomer Devorah, and then Mir Hashem I'm going to the United States on next Sunday week this morning. So I won't be here, I'll be away for a couple weeks. And then when we come back, Mr. Hashem will start Nefesh HaChaim, something like February 1st, like, whatever the dates are, I don't remember. But something like February 1st, we'll start Nefesh HaChaim. So you have a lot of time to get your Nefesh HaChaim. I don't mean get your Nefesh HaChaim, get the book.